Entering a story that began before you. There is a quiet gravity in stepping into the life of a woman who already carries another person's heart. She is not just a partner, she is a mother. And her world is already populated by responsibilities, routines, and histories that existed long before you arrived. For a man, this is both an invitation and a test. The romance is real, but so is the reality, the child's needs, the past relationships, the unseen tensions, and the societal judgment. These are the hidden realities that most men never anticipate when they fall in love. Marrying a woman with a child is not merely a choice of heart, it is a decision that reshapes your life, challenges your patience, tests your boundaries, and demands emotional mastery. Stoicism teaches us to face reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. To see things clearly, without illusion, is the first step toward wisdom and fulfillment. This guide is designed for the man who seeks that clarity. It is an unflinching examination of what it truly means to love a woman with a child, and how to do it well, without losing yourself in the process. This journey will cover 10 core areas, each a cornerstone of the blended family experience: the emotional terrain, the financial landscape, the dynamics of parenting, and the subtle tests to your masculinity, patience, and character. 1. The ever-present shadow of the past. When a woman becomes a mother, her life becomes a layered story. One layer is her own, her personality, her choices, her love. Another layer is the child's life, shaped by someone who may no longer be present, or who continues to influence from afar. For the man entering this world, the past is a permanent presence. The child carries genetics, memories, and sometimes attachments to a father figure who will never truly be replaced. Birthdays, school events, medical forms, and even casual conversations are tinged with echoes of what came before. The challenge is not to erase this history, it cannot be undone. The challenge is to accept, integrate, and navigate it without resentment. A Stoic approach requires acknowledging what is outside your control and focusing on what is within it: your behavior, your love, and your contributions to the present. To walk this path successfully, a man must cultivate patience, emotional resilience, and a mindset that honors both the child's origins and the new life being built. Love in this context is not blind, it is conscious, deliberate, and courageous. 2. You are a co-pilot, not the captain. From the moment you commit, you must relinquish the fantasy of total control. This is one of the most profound and humbling shifts a man must make. In a traditional nuclear family, decision-making often evolves organically between two biological parents. As a stepfather, you are entering an ongoing flight with a pre-established crew and a flight plan that was drafted long before you boarded. Decisions about discipline, education, family routines, and even relocation are rarely yours to dictate alone. You may have strong, well-reasoned opinions on homework habits or curfews, but you must present them as suggestions to the captain, your partner. Ultimate authority rests with her, forged through years of shared history, legal agreements, and a biological bond you cannot replicate. The structures already in place are not just routines, they are the emotional and psychological scaffolding of the child's life, and to disrupt them carelessly is to risk collapsing the entire structure. This requires a deep and active humility. It is the humility to bite your tongue when a parenting decision you disagree with is made, and to support it nonetheless. It is the recognition that your influence is significant but shared, not just with your partner, but with a past you can never change, and often with a biological father who remains a permanent figure in the child's constellation. Your role is that of a navigator, a first officer, and a systems expert. You provide a second opinion, point out hazards on the horizon, and help manage the internal climate of the family vessel. You earn your seat not by seizing the controls, but by proving your reliability, your calm under pressure, and your unwavering commitment to the safety and destination of the entire family. A Stoic man understands that true power lies not in controlling the external world, the actions of a child, the decisions of his partner, but in mastering his own reactions, his ego, and his expectations. In that self-mastery, he finds a satisfaction far more profound than the brittle satisfaction of command. Section 3, The Discipline Dilemma. Establishing authority as a step-parent is a high-wire act performed without a net. It is a delicate art where the consequences of a misstep are immediate and emotionally costly. Too firm, too soon, and you cement your role as the villain, an interloper who imposes harsh, unloving order. Too lenient, and you become a ghost in the home, a pleasant but irrelevant figure who commands no respect and provides no guidance. The critical distinction is this: in a biological parent, authority is often assumed, rightly or wrongly, through biological right. In a step-parent, authority must be earned through consistent, daily deposits in the emotional bank account. Every decision, every correction, every boundary you set is scrutinized under a microscope, by the child, who is testing your mettle and your love, by your partner, who is silently judging your alignment with her parenting philosophy, and sometimes by outsiders like grandparents or teachers, who watch with wary eyes. To navigate this minefield, a man must cultivate a triad of essential virtues. Patience, understanding that respect is a slow-growing crop, not to be harvested in a day. You will be tested, challenged, and ignored. Patience allows you to see these not as personal attacks, but as a child's natural process of defining new boundaries. Empathy, the ability to see the world from the child's perspective, a world of split loyalties, confusion, and often, unresolved grief. A disciplinary issue is rarely just about the broken rule, it is often a manifestation of a deeper emotional turmoil. Empathy allows you to address the root cause, not just the symptom. A calm, unwavering presence, your greatest tool is not the volume of your voice, but your unshakable composure. When you respond to defiance with quiet firmness, to anger with steady reason, you become a pillar of stability in the child's often chaotic emotional world. You demonstrate that strength is not loud, but consistent. Over time, this consistency builds a foundation of trust. Respect, when it finally comes, will not be born of fear, but of the quiet understanding that you are a man of your word, who cares deeply, and whose boundaries are both firm and fair. Then, and only then, does your role become secure. 4. Financial realities and responsibility. Supporting a child who is not biologically yours is a continuous test of character, demanding a clarity of purpose that goes beyond simple arithmetic. The financial landscape of a step-family is often complex and fraught with emotional pitfalls. College savings, groceries, vacations, and daily expenses are all investments into a life that is only partially yours, a life for which you bear responsibility without the primal, biological imperative of a parent. Meanwhile, the biological father may contribute inconsistently, unevenly, or not at all. This can breed a quiet resentment, a sense of unfairness that you are carrying a burden that rightfully belongs to another. It is here that a Stoic principle becomes your most vital financial instrument: view wealth not as a part of your identity, but as a tool for action. The Stoic understands that money is an indifferent, it is neither good nor bad, but its use can be virtuous or vicious. Providing in this context is not about fulfilling a societal obligation, seeking validation from your partner, or receiving recognition from the child. To tie your financial contributions to these expected returns is to set yourself up for disappointment and bitterness. Instead, reframe the act of giving. See it as an exercise in virtue. Responsibility: you are using your resources to support the well-being of your household, which is a virtuous and honorable act, regardless of the DNA of its members. Integrity: you are aligning your actions with your commitment. You said you would be a partner and a provider, now you are doing so, even when it is inconvenient or unacknowledged. Discipline: you are mastering the impulse to keep score, to tally your contributions against those of the absent father or even against the emotional returns from your stepchild. Resilience: you are building a financial and emotional foundation that is not dependent on external fairness. By giving freely, without the expectation of repayment or even gratitude, you cultivate an inner fortress of character. You learn that the true reward is not in the transaction, but in the act of provision itself, the quiet knowledge that you are acting as a good man should, using your tools to build a better world for those in your care. This is the Stoic path to financial and emotional peace. 5. The second place heart. One of the hardest truths a man must confront when marrying a woman with a child is that he will never be her absolute first priority. This is not a failing or a slight, it is the immutable mathematics of a mother's love. Her heart has a pre-existing, non-negotiable tenant. In emergencies, in daily routines, and in the quiet, unspoken calculations of her mental energy, the child's well-being will naturally come first. A scraped knee will trump a bad day at work, a school play will take precedence over a quiet dinner, a teenager's heartbreak will demand emotional resources that might otherwise have been yours. Stoicism teaches us that suffering arises not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. A man who enters this life with the expectation of being the sole object of his partner's devotion is building his house on a foundation of resentment. The true challenge, and the true path to peace, lies in a radical redefinition of fulfillment. Satisfaction is not mined from being prioritized above all else, but from the deep, quiet pride of embracing the role you do hold, a loving partner, a steady presence in the storm of adolescence, a mentor who offers a different perspective, and a protector of the entire household unit, even when that protection goes unseen. This requires a deliberate emotional detachment from the ego. It is the discipline of celebrating your partner's fierce loyalty to her child, even when it means your own needs are momentarily sidelined. Your love must become less reactive and more intentional, a conscious choice to support the structure of the family rather than demand its constant validation. Over time, this second-place status undergoes a profound alchemy. It is transformed from a perceived limitation into a conscious, dignified choice. You are not settling for less, you are choosing a greater, more complex good. In doing so, you strengthen not only the family but forge a character of immense patience and selfless strength. 6. The third party in your marriage. Marriage to a single mother almost always involves a permanent third presence, the biological father. He is a ghost in the machinery of your new life, his influence felt in scheduling conflicts, financial arrangements, and the subtle emotional undercurrents that flow into your home after every visit or phone call. Whether he is active and cooperative, passive and absent, or antagonistic and difficult, his existence is a fact that you cannot reason away. Here, the Stoic dichotomy of control is your most vital tool. You cannot control his behavior, his words, or his relationship with your stepchild. Your power lies exclusively in your response, your attitude, and the boundaries you set for your own household. Resentment toward him is a poison you brew for yourself. Instead, you must cultivate the art of strategic coexistence. This is not about being a doormat, but about being a strategist. Maintain unshakable civility, for the child's sake, if for no other reason. Communicate with clarity and purpose with your partner about the rules of engagement. Establish boundaries that protect your peace and your marriage without igniting conflicts that only harm the child you are all connected to. Mastering this dynamic is an advanced course in patience, wisdom, and emotional strength. It teaches a man to navigate complex, often frustrating social systems while maintaining his personal integrity. This hard-won skill, the ability to manage conflict, absorb minor insults, and keep your eyes on the long-term goal, is a form of leadership that extends far beyond family life into every aspect of masculine responsibility. 7. The loss of spontaneity and the honeymoon phase. Traditional romance is often a narrative of freedom, impulsive weekend getaways, lazy Sundays in bed, and long, uninterrupted conversations that stretch into the night. When you marry a woman with a child, you marry a schedule. Spontaneity becomes a scarce commodity, negotiated in advance. The early years of marriage, a period culturally reserved for intense, private discovery as a couple, are now shared, segmented, and shaped by the immutable demands of school runs, bedtimes, and extracurricular activities. Here, the Stoic mindset of accepting reality is your greatest ally. Acceptance does not mean the death of joy or romance, it demands its recalibration. You must become an architect of intimate moments rather than a passive beneficiary of them. Find creativity in the cracks of the day, the quiet connection of a shared coffee before the house wakes, a deliberate text message in the middle of the afternoon, a planned date night at home after the child is asleep. These small, thoughtful acts become the new foundation of your intimacy. The honeymoon phase may be shorter, or it may simply look different, less a fiery explosion and more a steadily burning hearth. It can still thrive, but it must be approached with patience, ingenuity, and profound intentionality. Love in this context is not a feeling to be fallen into, but a structure to be built, day by day. It is deliberate, conscious, and resilient, requiring daily investment rather than reliance on the fleeting winds of unchecked passion. 8. Societal judgment and the invisible role. Society has no clear script for the stepfather. You will be measured against a confusing and contradictory set of standards. Some will hail you as a hero or a savior, a label that is as uncomfortable as it is inaccurate, placing you on a pedestal you never sought. Others, operating from a more tribal mindset, may whisper judgments, questioning your masculinity for raising another man's child or imputing hidden motives to your actions. Stoicism offers the ultimate defense, a fortress of internal virtue. External validation is revealed as a flickering shadow, entirely unreliable. Your self-worth must be built from the bedrock of your own actions, your consistency, your integrity, your quiet provision. Navigating this judgment requires a cultivated emotional independence. You must learn to hold your head with quiet assurance, your focus unwavering on the life you are actively building inside the walls of your home, not on the noise outside them. Understanding this truth allows you to operate from a place of authentic strength. You are neither seeking applause nor bracing for censure. You are simply doing the work that you have chosen, defined by your own code, not society's vague and shifting labels. 9. The complexities of blending a family. If you have children of your own, or plan to have them together, you enter the most complex phase, the labyrinth of blending families. This is where competing loyalties, rivalries for attention, and conflicting routines create a constant, low-grade tension. Your biological child may resent the time you give your stepchild may resist your authority and compare your treatment to that of their biological father. All children will engage in a relentless audit of fairness. Stoic wisdom guides us here by distinguishing between simplistic equality and nuanced fairness. Justice, in this context, is not about giving every child the identical thing, but about giving each child what they specifically need. This demands immense emotional intelligence and strategic thinking. You must be a keen observer of individual histories, insecurities, and personalities. You must dispense love and discipline with a calibrated hand, maintaining equilibrium in the household without sacrificing your own integrity or overextending your emotional reserves. It is a daily practice of applied wisdom, a test of your ability to lead a team that didn't choose to be on the same team, transforming a collection of individuals into a cohesive, if uniquely patterned, family. 10. The weight of a role without a clear name. You are more than a boyfriend, less than a biological father, and more than a caretaker. You are a hybrid, a figure for which our language has no precise term. Stepfather can feel clinical and distant, failing to capture the nuance of your daily reality. This ambiguity can be a heavy weight, a feeling of living in a role that is not fully seen or understood by the world. Yet, this lack of a clear label is also profoundly liberating. Stoicism teaches that purpose is defined by action, not by title. You are not confined by a predetermined script. Instead, you create the meaning of your role daily, in how you discipline with fairness, love without condition, guide with patience, and provide without expectation. You are writing the job description as you live it. Over time, through deliberate effort and consistent action, your presence becomes indispensable and your influence undeniable, even if the world has no ready-made word for what you are. You are forging a new type of legacy, one that is consciously chosen, diligently built, and deeply rooted in the virtue of your daily choices. Final reflection: love as a conscious choice. Acknowledging these realities is not meant to discourage, but to arm and prepare. The man who approaches this life with eyes wide open, who accepts the complexities without resentment, is the man who discovers its profound and unique rewards. This path offers a family built on the sturdy foundation of conscious choice, which can be even more resilient than one built on obligation alone. It forges a deeper, more disciplined form of love that does not wilt under pressure. It cultivates an emotional resilience and a capacity for patience and strategic wisdom that will serve you in every arena of life. In tending a garden you did not plant, you discover that you are not just a gardener, but a part of the ecosystem itself. You find roots of your own, deeper and more widespread than you imagined. Love, responsibility, and leadership converge here, not as abstract ideas, but as daily practices. The Stoic man does not flinch from this reality, he meets it with courage, navigates it with wisdom, and shapes it through his disciplined devotion.